I never thought that at 64, my life would shatter all over again, like a fragile glass heirloom dropped in the dead of winter. One cold January day, a stranger walked into my little pharmacy and unearthed a ghost from my past, a ghost with my mother's eyes and a story that ripped my heart wide open. But was this a chance for redemption, or just another betrayal waiting to strike? Hello, everyone. I'm Maggie Sullivan. Before we continue, please leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and subscribe to Ageless Bold Stories channel. We're creating a community of people who know that our best chapters can happen at any age. Now, back to the story, or at least the beginning of it. If you've ever felt the sting of family secrets buried deep, you know how they can fester like an old wound that never quite heals. Stick with me through this tale of loss, lies, and unexpected reunions. It's going to be a bumpy ride, full of those twists that make your stomach drop. And trust me, by the end of this chapter, you'll be wondering, what would you do if the past knocked on your door, hungry and freezing, begging for a second chance? Let me take you back a bit to set the scene. It's January 10th, 2025, right here in Boise, Idaho. The thermometer outside my independent pharmacy on State Street reads a bone-chilling 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Snow's piling up against the windows like uninvited guests, turning the world into a white, unforgiving blanket. I've been running this place for over 3 decades now. Sullivan's Remedies, we call it. It's nothing fancy, just shelves stocked with cough syrups, painkillers, and the occasional chat with regulars about their aches and pains. At my age, 64 going on 65 in a few months, this shop is my anchor. It's what keeps me going after everything life's thrown at me. But let's rewind further to where the real pain started. 28 years ago, I was 36, fresh out of a messy divorce that left me with nothing but a broken heart and a stack of bills. My ex, Tom, had run off with his secretary. Classic story, right? Left me high and dry in our little apartment in Nampa. That's when my parents passed away in a car accident on I-84, just outside Caldwell. God rest their souls. They left behind the family ranch, a sprawling 50 acres with that old red barn and the creek running through it. Valued at $420,000 back then, split equally between me and my only brother, Patrick. Patrick Sullivan. My big brother by 2 years. We grew up thick as thieves on that ranch, riding horses at the Caldwell Rodeo, chasing fireflies in the summer evenings. He was always the charming one, with that easy smile and a way of talking his way out of trouble. But charm can hide a lot, can it? After the funeral, he handled the paperwork, said he was doing me a favor since I was emotionally unstable from the divorce. I trusted him. Why wouldn't I? He was family. But the truth was crueler than I could have imagined. He forged my signature on the deed, sold the ranch to some developer turning it into strip malls, and pocketed my half. Poof! $210,000 gone, vanished like smoke. He skipped town to Vegas, probably blowing it all on blackjack and showgirls. I found out too late, when the checks bounced and the lawyer's fees piled up. I couldn't afford to fight it. No money for a court battle, no energy left after losing Tom. So I let it go. Buried it deep, like so many regrets we carry. But that theft cost me more than money. You see, back then I was fostering this sweet little girl named Emily. She was 4, with curly blonde hair and the biggest blue eyes you'd ever seen. Abandoned by her birth parents, she called me Mama Maggie. We were this close to adoption. Papers filed, home visits done. But the agency caught wind of my financial instability. No ranch money meant no stable future, they said. Emily went back into the system, placed with some family in Oregon. I never saw her again. Her face haunts me every single night, those chubby cheeks and that trusting smile. What kind of life did she end up with? Did she ever wonder about me? My heart squeezes tight. That's how it felt back then, like it was being squeezed in a vice. I moved to Boise, scraped together enough for this pharmacy with a small loan from an aunt, and built a life alone. No husband, no kids. Just me, my cat Whiskers, and the steady hum of the fluorescent lights in the shop. I've dated here and there. Nice guys from church potlucks or the local VFW. But nothing stuck. Trust issues, the therapists say. Who can blame me after Patrick? Fast forward to that snowy January day. The bell above the door jingles, cutting through the quiet like a knife. In walks this skinny girl, maybe 18 or 19, wearing a threadbare hoodie that's way too thin for Idaho winter. Her cheeks are frostbitten, red as apples, and her lips are chapped, trembling. She stomps the snow off her boots, cheap sneakers really, with holes in the toes, and looks around like she's lost. "Can I help you, hun?" I ask, peering over my reading glasses. I'm restocking the vitamin aisle, but something about her stops me cold. Those eyes, emerald green, just like Mom's. And that stubborn cowlick in her dark hair, the kind that defies any comb. She hesitates, clutching a crumpled backpack like it's her lifeline. "Are you Margaret Sullivan? From Nampa?" My heart stops. Nobody's called me Margaret in 20 years. It's always Maggie now. "That's me," I say slowly, setting down the bottle of vitamin C. "Who's asking?" She swallows hard, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm Haley Sullivan. Patrick Sullivan is my dad. I think you're my aunt." Right then, the world tilts. My knees buckle and I grab the counter to steady myself. Patrick has a daughter? All these years, no word from him. Not a postcard, not a dime. And now this? How did you find me?" I managed to croak out. Haley pulls out a creased photo from her pocket, unfolding it with shaking hands. It's yellowed with age. Me, Mom, Dad, and Patrick at the 1997 Caldwell Rodeo. I'm in pigtails. Patrick's got that goofy grin, arms around us all. "Dad kept this in his wallet," she says. "Told me stories about the ranch when I was little. Said you were the best sister ever." Best sister ever? The irony hits like a punch. Then she hands me another paper, a birth certificate. Mother, Rebecca Sullivan. Father, Patrick James Sullivan. Born in Las Vegas, 2007. Haley's 18 now. The math checks out. Patrick would have been in his 40s, but it's her eyes that seal it. Those green eyes, piercing and familiar. And the cowlick, just like Patrick's, like our family's curse. "What does Patrick want?" I blurt out, my voice sharper than I intend. "Money? After all this time?" Haley's face crumples. "I don't know where he is. He left when I was 11. Mom, Rebecca, she died in a car crash 2 years later. Overdose, they said, but I think it was the grief. I've been on my own since 16, couch surfing with friends in Vegas. Aged out of foster care last month in Nevada." Foster care. The word slices through me, like Emily all over again. I see her knees shaking now, her lips blue from the cold. She hasn't eaten in 2 days, she admits when I press. Against every instinct screaming, "Don't trust this." I lock the door, flip the sign to closed. First time in years I've done that midday, and lead her to the back room. It's my makeshift break area, a microwave, a mini fridge, and a worn-out couch. "Sit," I say, heating up yesterday's chili. The smell of beans and spices fills the air as I watch her devour it, spoon after spoon, like she's afraid it'll disappear. While she eats, the story pours out in bits and pieces, interrupted by sniffles and pauses. Haley tells me about growing up in a dingy apartment off the strip in Vegas. Patrick worked odd jobs, dealer at a casino, then a mechanic, always promising a big win that never came. "He talked about you sometimes," she says, wiping her mouth with her sleeve. Said you two had a falling out over money. But he missed the ranch. Missed Idaho. A falling out? That's what he called stealing my inheritance? My chest tightens. I feel it building, that old rage bubbling up like lava. But looking at her, this kid who's barely more than a child herself, I push it down. What happened after he left? I ask gently. She shrugs, eyes downcast. Mom tried. Waitress double shifts. But she started popping pills to stay awake. One night she didn't come home. Cops said she veered off the road. I bounced around foster homes after that. Some were okay. Others, not so much. Last one kicked me out at 18. A church volunteer helped me Google your name. Found the pharmacy listing. Bought a Greyhound ticket with my last $50. Figured, maybe family could help. Family? The word hangs in the air like smoke. Am I family to this girl? Blood says yes, but my heart's wary. What if this is a scam? Patrick sending her to soften me up? But her story rings true. The details about the rodeo photo, the birth certificate, and those eyes, they're undeniable. As the afternoon wears on, the snow keeps falling outside, muffling the world. I make her tea, chamomile, to calm her nerves. And we talk more. She asks about the ranch, about our parents. I share stories. Dad teaching us to fish in the creek. Mom's apple pies that won blue ribbons at the county fair. Haley laughs at the funny parts, a soft, tentative sound that tugs at something deep inside me. But then, the first real twist hits. She's rifling through her backpack for a tissue when a letter falls out. It's addressed to me, in Patrick's handwriting. My blood runs cold. What's this? I ask, picking it up. Haley looks surprised. Oh, that. Dad gave it to me years ago, before he left. Said if anything happened, find you and give it to you. I forgot about it until now. My hands tremble as I open it. The paper's worn, dated 2014. Dear Maggie, it starts. If you're reading this, I'm probably gone. I screwed up bad with the ranch. Took your share because I was drowning in debt. Gambling, bad investments. Thought I could double it and pay you back. Stupid, I know. But Haley, she's innocent. If she finds you, help her. For Mom and Dad's sake. My heart tears apart. That's the only way to describe it. Tears blur my vision as I read on. He mentions Rebecca, how they met in Vegas, a cocktail waitress with dreams of her own. Haley was their miracle baby. But the gambling ate him alive. He left to protect them, or so he claims. Ends with, forgive me if you can. Love, Pat. Forgive? After stealing my future? After costing me Emily? The room spins. I excuse myself to the bathroom, splash water on my face. In the mirror, I see a woman who's aged beyond her years, gray streaks in my hair, lines etched from too many sleepless nights. Can I let this girl in? Or will she break me like her father did? When I come back, Haley's dozed off on the couch, exhausted. I cover her with a blanket from the storage closet. Watching her sleep, so vulnerable, stirs memories of Emily. What if this is my second chance? But doubts creep in. Is Patrick really gone? Or lurking somewhere? What secrets is Haley hiding? As the sun sets early in the winter dusk, I sit by the window, sipping cold coffee. The streetlights flicker on, casting long shadows. I've got decisions to make. Let her stay? Call social services? Dig deeper into Patrick's disappearance? But right then, my phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Aunt Maggie? It's Haley's friend from Vegas. She okay? Heard she came looking for you. Innocent enough, but something feels off. Why now? After all these years? And just like that, everything changes forever. I glance at Haley, still sleeping, unaware of the storm brewing. Little did I know, This was only the beginning of a nightmare that would unearth more family secrets than I could handle. Is forgiveness enough to heal? That's the question pounding in my head as I lock up for the night. Haley stirs, mumbling thanks. I offer her the couch for the night. Can't send her out in this weather. But as I drive home through the snow, my mind races. What if Patrick's not really gone? What if Haley's here for more than family? You think this is the end? Oh no. This is just the setup for the real drama. In the next chapter, a shocking discovery about Patrick's last days will turn everything upside down. Will I embrace this long-lost niece, or will old wounds force me to push her away? If you've ever faced a family betrayal like this, drop a period in the comments to let me know you're here. What would you do in my shoes? Open your heart or guard it fiercely? Share your thoughts below. I read everyone. And if this story's got you hooked, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss part 2. It's going to be even more intense. Give it a like if it tugged at your heartstrings, and share with a friend who needs to hear about second chances or warnings. Thanks for listening, folks. Until next time, take care out there in the cold. Hello, everyone. It's me again, Maggie Sullivan. If you thought the ghosts of my past were done haunting me after that snowy January day in 2025, think again. 5 years later, on a crisp November afternoon in 2029, the bell above my pharmacy door jingles once more, and in stumbles a skeleton of a man, yellowed skin, dragging an oxygen tank like it's his last lifeline. My heart freezes solid when I recognize those faded green eyes. Patrick. My thieving brother back from the dead begging for mercy. But after all he'd stolen from me, was this redemption? Or the final twist of the knife? Stick around because this chapter's about to unravel everything I thought I'd rebuilt. Back to where we left off in the previous chapter. It was that first night Haley stayed, curled up on the cot in the back room of my pharmacy. I lay awake in bed at home, staring at the ceiling, my mind swirling with thoughts. I should send her away. Patrick destroyed me once. Why let another Sullivan into my life? Memories of Emily, the foster child I lost because of his betrayal, still haunt me like an endless nightmare. But then, the next morning, when I open the shop at 5:30 a.m., Haley's already up. She's alphabetizing the over-the-counter shelves, dust rag in hand, like it's her own home. "Morning, Aunt Maggie," she says with a shy smile, wiping her hands on her jeans. I couldn't sleep much. Figured I'd make myself useful. My first instinct is to snap at her, tell her to pack up and hit the road. But those words stick in my throat. She's got that same determined look Mom used to have when she was knee-deep in ranch chores. "You can stay on the cot tonight," I hear myself say instead, my voice gruff. "One night. We'll talk tomorrow." But that wasn't the end. One night turns into 2, then 3. Haley doesn't sit idle. She wipes down counters, greets customers with a warm smile that makes the old ladies beam. By week 3, I check the register. Perfect. Not a penny missing. She even fixes the broken credit card reader by watching a YouTube video on her beat-up phone. "Just a loose wire," she shrugs, like it's no big deal. I still don't trust her completely. Sullivan's after all. But I offer her a job. $13 an hour. Cash. Off the books. Trial basis, I warn her. One slip-up, and you're out. You might be wondering, why risk it? Well, at 64, running the pharmacy alone was wearing me down. My back ached from lifting boxes, and the winters in Boise were getting harsher. Haley was a godsend in disguise, or so it seemed. She learned fast. Stocking shelves, mixing compounds, even recommending the right cold medicine to frazzled moms. Customers started noticing. "That girl's a keeper, Maggie," old Mr. Jenkins says one day, buying his arthritis cream. "Reminds me of you back in the day." By month 2, Everything changes. Haley creates a TikTok account for the shop. Boise's hidden gem, the 100-year-old candy counter at Sullivan's Remedies. She films short videos, me sharing stories about the classic candies Dad used to sell, Haley tasting them and making funny faces. Boom, 400K views overnight. Suddenly, customers flood in. Seniors come just to meet that sweet girl who carried Mrs. Rodriguez's oxygen tank to her car. Revenue jumps 28% in 90 days. For the first time in 15 years, I'm not late on rent. My heart pounds when I check the books, not from fear, but from hope. Could this be a new beginning? I move her into the tiny studio apartment above the store. It's nothing fancy. A kitchenette, a pull-out sofa, and a view of State Street traffic. Just business, I tell myself as I hand her the keys. Easier for early shifts. But deep down, I know it's more. Watching her unpack her meager belongings, a few clothes, that old rodeo photo, a stuffed bear from her mom, stirs something maternal in me, the kind I buried after losing Emily. Year 1 flies by in a blur of progress. We add free delivery for shut-ins. Those elderly folks snowed in during Boise's brutal winters. Haley volunteers for the runs, pedaling her beat-up bike through blizzards, bundled in my old parka. "It's no biggie, Aunt Maggie," she'd say, cheeks rosy from the cold. "Reminds me of Vegas winters, except with actual snow." One storm, she gets stuck at Mrs. Abernathy's house overnight, reading her bedtime stories from an old Reader's Digest. The next day, Mrs. Abernathy sends a basket of homemade cookies. "Your niece is an angel," the note says. Niece. The word starts slipping into conversations. Customers assume it, and I don't correct them. Why bother? Haley's proving herself every day, but trust doesn't come easy. I still lock the safe at night, count the pills twice. Patrick's letter from that first night? I keep it hidden in my desk drawer, a reminder not to get too close. Proof that she's different emerges gradually. Year 2. We launch the Sullivan Seniors Club, 10% off for folks over 65, plus personalized birthday cards. Haley designs them herself, with little doodles and quotes like, "Age is just a number, but wisdom is timeless." Membership explodes to 180 in months. Seniors flock in for their discounts, staying for chats over free coffee. "You two make a great team," says Dr. Patel, our local GP, referring a patient. "Revenue stabilizes. Bills get paid on time. For the first time since the divorce, I sleep without worrying about the bank." But then, a small twist shakes me. One evening, Haley comes down from her apartment, eyes red from crying. "Aunt Maggie, can we talk?" She confesses about a bad foster home in Vegas, abusive foster dad, the kind that leaves scars. "I ran away at 16 because of him." My blood boils. A storm of anger explodes inside me, not at her, but at the world that failed this kid. I hug her, first time since she arrived, and we cry together. "You're safe here," I whisper. From then on, the walls between us crack a little more. Year 3. Haley turns 21. She's enrolled in Boise State pre-pharmacy program, paying tuition with tips from grateful customers. "I want to be like you," she tells me over birthday cake. Chocolate, her favorite. Help people feel better? I catch myself calling her honey in front of a customer one day. "Honey, can you grab the aspirin?" The word slips out naturally, and I don't correct it. Why? Because she's become family, whether I admit it or not. We celebrate with a small party. Balloons, pizza, a few regulars toasting with ginger ale. Laughter fills the store, chasing away the ghosts. Eyes well up with tears. That's how it feels sometimes, looking back. The pharmacy transforms under our care. We repaint the walls a cheerful blue, update the signage. Haley teaches me TikTok dances, silly stuff that goes viral, drawing in younger crowds for energy drinks and sunscreen. "See, Aunt Maggie? We're modern now, she laughs. And me? At 68 by then, I feel younger too. Walks in Julia Davis Park, Sunday brunches at the local diner. Life's rhythm shifts from survival to something warmer. Year 4 brings bigger dreams. We've saved $68,000, scrimping on extras, investing in low-risk bonds Haley researched online, enough to buy the empty lot next door for a drive-through window. Expansion time! Haley cheers, sketching plans on napkins. We hire a contractor, navigate permits with the city. It's chaotic. Dust everywhere, noise from hammers, but exciting. Customers cheer us on. About time, ladies. For the first time, I imagine retiring someday, handing the keys to her. But I push the thought away. Too soon. Too vulnerable. And then, November 14th, 2029, exactly 5 years since Haley walked through that door in her too thin hoodie. The air's crisp, leaves crunching underfoot outside. The drive-thru's almost done. We're buzzing with plans for a grand opening. Haley's upstairs studying for finals, and I'm behind the counter, humming an old country tune from the ranch days. The bell jingles. In stumbles a man, hunched over, skin jaundiced like old parchment. He's dragging an oxygen tank, wheezing with each step, gray hair matted, clothes hanging off his frail frame. He looks 90, but I know those eyes. Faded green, just like Mom's, just like Haley's. Patrick. My brother, 59 now, but aged beyond recognition. Liver cirrhosis, end stage. I can tell from the symptoms, the yellow tint, the swollen belly. He collapses to his knees right between the greeting cards and the cough drops aisle, gasping. Maggie, please. The world narrows to a pinpoint. My heart squeezes tight like it's being crushed in a fist. Customers freeze. A bottle of vitamins clatters to the floor. Patrick? I whisper, my voice cracking. What the hell are you doing here? He looks up, tears streaming down his weathered face. I'm dying, Mags. Liver's shot. Too much booze. Too many regrets. I'm on the transplant list at St. Luke's, but they need a $90K deposit, or I'm off it. Total cost $180K. I got nowhere else to turn. Regrets? After stealing my inheritance? After vanishing and leaving Haley to fend for herself? Pain like a knife cuts through me, sharp and unrelenting. I want to scream, to throw him out into the cold. But Haley's footsteps thunder down the stairs. Aunt Maggie, what's Dad? She stops dead, face paling. Patrick reaches out a trembling hand. Haley. Baby girl. The air thickens with unspoken accusations. How did he find us? Why now? After all this time? And that deposit. Where does he expect the money to come from? Our savings? The business we've built from scratch? Little did I know this reunion was about to unearth secrets darker than I could imagine. Patrick's not just here for money, he's carrying a bombshell that could shatter our fragile family all over again. Could betrayal turn into a new beginning? That's the question echoing in my mind as I help him to a chair, Haley hovering like a ghost. The store empties out, whispers trailing behind customers. What happens next? A desperate plea, a hidden truth, and a choice that could cost me everything. But that's for the next chapter, folks. Trust me, the twists are just heating up. Secrets from Patrick's past that tie back to the ranch, and a decision that tests the bonds we've forged. If this story's stirring up old family wounds for you, drop a in the comments to let me know you're with me. What would you do? Help the brother who betrayed you, or protect the niece who's become your world? Share your thoughts below. I cherish everyone. And if you're hooked on this drama, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. You won't want to miss part 3, where the real storm hits. Give it a like if it hit close to home, and share with someone facing their own family crossroads. Thanks for listening. Stay warm out there. Hello, everyone. It's Maggie Sullivan here, picking up right where we left off. If you thought Patrick's sudden reappearance was the peak of our family storm, brace yourself. That November night in 2029, with my brother begging on his knees in my pharmacy, marked the start of a whirlwind that tested every bond we'd built. Secrets spilled, accusations flew, and in the end, a death that left us questioning everything. Was helping him worth the risk, or did turning away save us from more heartbreak? Hang on tight. This chapter dives deep into forgiveness, regret, and the fragile threads that hold a family together. Back to that chaotic afternoon in the store. Patrick, my long-lost brother, collapsed on the floor like a broken marionette, his oxygen tank hissing softly in the stunned silence. Customers scattered like leaves in the wind, murmuring excuses as they bolted for the door. Haley stood frozen behind the counter, her face a mask of shock, pale as the snow outside. It was the first time she'd seen her dad in 10 years, since he vanished from their Vegas apartment when she was just 11. Maggie. Haley. Patrick wheezed, clutching at his chest. His eyes, those faded green ones that mirrored our mother's, brimmed with tears. He fumbled in his coat pocket, pulling out hospital bracelets from St. Luke's, crumpled medical charts showing his end-stage liver cirrhosis, and a business card from a social worker named Elena Ramirez. Everything looked legit. Stamps, signatures, the works. No scam here, at least not on paper. "I'm so sorry, baby girl," he sobbed, reaching toward Haley. "I was sick, drunk, lost in the bottle. But I'm clean now. 6 months sober. Please, I just need help to stay alive." Haley didn't move. Her hands gripped the counter so tight her knuckles turned white. I stepped forward, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside. "You've got 5 minutes to leave, Patrick, or I'm calling Boise PD. You stole from me once. My inheritance. My future. You don't get to waltz back in and beg now." His face crumpled further, but he nodded weakly, struggling to his feet with the help of his tank. As he shuffled out, he whispered, "I deserve that, Mags. But for her, think about her." That hit like a gut punch. Haley's voice cracked as the door jingled shut. "He's still my dad, Aunt Maggie, even after everything." The air in the pharmacy turned thick, suffocating. I flipped the sign to "closed early," second time in 5 years, and we headed upstairs to her studio apartment. The drive-through construction outside hummed faintly, a reminder of how far we'd come. But that night, progress felt like a distant memory. We argued until 2 a.m., voices echoing off the walls like thunderclaps. I paced the small room, pulling out old boxes from under her bed where I'd stashed the painful relics of my past. "Look at this," I said, thrusting the 1997 police report into her hands, the one detailing Patrick's forgery of my signature on the ranch deed. Yellowed pages, black and white facts that still stung. "He didn't just take money, Haley. He took my chance at a family. These adoption papers for Emily? Denied because of financial instability. I lost her because of him." Haley sat on the edge of the bed, her eyes glistening under the dim lamp. She didn't defend him. Not at first. Instead, she pulled out her phone, playing a voicemail from when she was 16, right after she'd run from that abusive foster home. Patrick's voice, slurred and distant. "You're grown now, kid. Figure it out. I just can't." It ended with a click, cold as ice. My chest tightened. We both cried then, the kind of raw, ugly sobs that leave you hollow. "He abandoned us both," I whispered, holding her close. But Haley pulled away, her voice fierce. "Maybe he was broken, Aunt Maggie. Maybe we all are. What if this is his last chance?" For 9 days after that, the air between us was ice, cold, brittle, ready to shatter. We barely spoke at work, moving like ghosts around the shelves. Customers noticed the tension, Even old Mr. Jenkins asked if everything was okay. Revenue dipped a bit, but the seniors club kept us afloat. I threw myself into the drive-through plans, hammering out details with the contractor, while Haley buried herself in her Boise State textbooks. Nights, I'd lie awake in my house across town, replaying Patrick's plea. Could I have saved him? Should I? But then, on day 10, the storm broke wide open. It was a bitter evening, wind howling through the parking lot like a banshee. I was closing up when screams pierced the dusk. Patrick was back, pounding on the locked door, his face twisted in rage. "You murderers!" he yelled, spittle flying. "I come begging, and you turn me away? That's my blood in there, my daughter. You're killing me, Maggie." My heart pounded like a drum. I grabbed the phone, ready to dial 911, but Haley beat me to the door. She flung it open, standing tall with arms crossed, her green eyes flashing. "Dad, stop. Just stop." No tears this time, just steel. Patrick lunged forward, pleading, but she shook her head. "You've had chances. We can't fix you if you won't fix yourself." He stared at her, deflated, then turned to me. "Please, Mags. The deposit." "No," I said firmly, stepping beside her. United, for the first time against him. An Uber pulled up, must have called it himself, and he stumbled in, cursing us to hell as it drove off into the night. Little did I know, that was the last we'd see of him alive. The relief was short-lived, mixed with a gnawing guilt that kept me up for hours. Haley crashed on my couch that night, too shaken to be alone. We didn't argue, just sat in silence, sipping chamomile tea, watching the snowflakes dance under the streetlights. "Did we do the right thing?" she whispered finally. "I think so," I replied, but doubt lingered like a shadow. Weeks blurred into the new year. The drive-through nearing completion amid Boise's thawing slush. We patched things up slowly, shared meals, awkward laughs over TikTok fails. Haley threw herself into her studies, acing midterms, while I focused on the business. Revenue climbed back up, the seniors club hitting 200 members. Life felt normal again. Fragile, but normal. But the cruel truth hit on February 2nd, 2029. A knock on the pharmacy door mid-morning, 2 officials from Idaho State Social Services, badges gleaming. My stomach dropped. "Margaret Sullivan?" the woman asked, holding a clipboard. "We're here about Patrick Sullivan." Haley emerged from the back, wiping her hands on her apron. We led them to the break room, hearts racing. "He passed away 2 days ago," the man said gently. "In a motel in Reno. Liver failure. No next of kin listed except you two, from old records." The world spun. Patrick? Dead? Just like that? They handed Haley a small plastic bag, his meager possessions, a worn wallet with a few crumpled dollars, a faded casino chip from some Vegas dive, and a scribbled note on motel stationery. "Tell Maggie I'm sorry," it read in his shaky scrawl. No more explanations, no grand revelations. Just those 3 words. Haley held it together until they left. Then, with the door locked and the closed sign up, she crumbled. "We had the money," she whispered, sliding down the wall, tears streaming. "In our savings. We could have paid the deposit. Saved him." My heart shattered into a million pieces right there. I knelt beside her, pulling her into my arms as sobs racked her body. "We saved ourselves, honey," I murmured, rocking her like I wished I could have rocked Emily all those years ago. "That's enough. He made his choices. We made ours." The grief hit in waves over the next months. Guilt, anger, sorrow mixing like a toxic brew. We scattered his ashes in a quiet ceremony by the Boise River, just the 2 of us. No eulogies, no fanfare. "Goodbye, Dad," Haley said to the wind. I added silently, "Rest easy, Pat. Hope you found peace. But from the ashes came renewal. Spring 2030 bloomed bright, the Idaho sun melting away the winter's chill. We opened the drive-thru with a ribbon-cutting ceremony, the mayor himself snipping the tape, local news crews flashing cameras. Sullivan's Remedies, expanding to serve you better. The banner read. Customers lined up, honking horns in celebration. Revenue soared 35% that first month. The Seniors Club ballooning to 250. Haley graduated summa cum laude from Boise State that May, her pre-pharmacy degree clutched proudly as she walked the stage. I cheered louder than anyone, tears in my eyes. That's my girl! At 23 now, she's a force, smart, resilient, with that stubborn cowlick still defying gravity. She runs the TikTok like a pro, turning our little shop into a community hub. Free flu shot clinics, story hours for kids, even a pet adoption drive with the local shelter. Every morning, I watch her unlock the gate at dawn, her steps confident, and I know Patrick took my past. The ranch, Emily, those dreams shattered like glass. But Haley? She gave me a future I never dared dream of. Family isn't just blood, it's the choices we make, the wounds we heal together. A surge of emotion wells up. Pain like a knife cuts through the memories sometimes, sharp reminders of what was lost. But then, joy floods in. Warm, overwhelming, like sunlight after a storm. We've built something real here. Unbreakable. What if forgiveness comes too late? That's the question that lingers as I lock up each night, Haley by my side. Patrick's ghost fades, but his lessons remain. Did we make the right call? Or does regret always haunt the survivors? But wait, folks. This isn't quite the end. In the next chapter, a surprising twist from Patrick's past resurfaces, threatening our hard-won peace. A hidden inheritance? A long-lost sibling? You won't believe what comes knocking next. If this tale of family redemption, or lack thereof, has you reflecting on your own, drop a in the comments to show you're here. What would you have done? Paid for Patrick's treatment or protected your new life? Spill your thoughts below. I read them all. And if you're invested in this roller coaster, hit subscribe and ring that bell for part 4. It's packed with more shocks. Like if it stirred your soul, and share with a loved one navigating their own family drama. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, cherish those bonds. They might just save you. Hello, everyone. It's Maggie Sullivan here, wrapping up the tale that's taken us through betrayal, unexpected bonds, and the raw ache of what-ifs. If you thought Patrick's desperate plea in my pharmacy was the climax, hold on. This final chapter brings the storm to its heartbreaking close. With my brother on his knees, begging for a lifeline we weren't sure we could give, everything we'd rebuilt hung in the balance. Was this the moment for mercy, or the test that would define our fragile family forever? Join me one last time as we navigate forgiveness, loss, and the quiet strength that emerges from the ruins. This is the end of our journey, full of those emotional twists that leave you pondering long after the story fades. Picking up right where we left off in that tense November afternoon of 2029. Patrick, my estranged brother, lay crumpled on the pharmacy floor, his jaundiced skin glowing sickly under the fluorescent lights, oxygen tank wheezing like a dying engine. The store had cleared out fast, leaving just the 3 of us in a silence thick enough to choke on. Haley stood frozen behind the counter, her emerald eyes wide with disbelief. This was the first time she'd laid eyes on her dad in 10 long years. Since he vanished from their shabby Vegas life when she was barely a preteen. Maggie, please, Patrick gasped again, fumbling through his pockets with trembling hands. He produced hospital bracelets dangling from his wrist like grim jewelry, stacks of medical charts detailing his end-stage liver cirrhosis, and a crisp business card from a social worker at St. Luke's. It all looked painfully real, no forgeries this time, just the cold facts of a man staring down death. "Baby girl," he turned to Haley, tears carving tracks down his weathered cheeks. "I'm so sorry. I was sick, drowning in the bottle, lost in my demons. But I'm clean now. 6 months sober. I just need this one chance to make it right." Haley didn't budge, her breath coming in shallow bursts. I could see the war raging in her. Love for the father she barely knew, clashing with the scars he'd left. I stepped forward, my voice cutting through the haze like a blade. "You've said your piece, Patrick. Now leave, or I'm calling Boise PD. You don't get to drop in after stealing everything from me and expect handouts." His shoulders slumped, but as he struggled to rise, Haley's voice cracked like fragile ice. "He's still my dad, Aunt Maggie, no matter what." Those words hung in the air, a gut-wrenching echo that pierced straight through me. We locked up early that day, the drive-through construction outside mocking our progress with its half-finished skeleton. Upstairs in Haley's studio apartment, the argument erupted like a long, simmering volcano. We went at it until 2 a.m., voices raw and echoing off the walls, the city lights of Boise flickering indifferently through the window. I dragged out the old file box from my desk downstairs, the one I'd kept like a Pandora's chest of pain. "Look at this," I said, slamming down the 1997 police report, its pages yellowed but the betrayal still fresh. "He forged my signature on the deed, sold our family ranch right out from under me. And these?" I waved the adoption denial papers for Emily, the foster girl I'd lost forever. Because of his theft, I was financially unstable. I lost my shot at being a mom. "He didn't just take money, Haley. He took my whole future." She listened, her face paling under the lamp's glow, but then she countered with her own ammunition. Pulling out her phone, she played a voicemail from when she was 16, fresh off running from that hellish foster home. Patrick's voice slurred through the speaker. "You're grown now, kid. Figure it out. I just can't anymore." The message ended abruptly, leaving a void that spoke volumes. My chest tightened, like an iron band squeezing the life out of me. We both broke then, tears flowing as the weight of his abandonments crashed over us. "He left us both to rot," I whispered. But Haley shook her head, her voice fierce through the sobs. "What if he's really changed? What if we regret not helping?" For the next 9 days, the pharmacy felt like a frozen tundra. We barely spoke, moving around each other like strangers, stocking shelves in silence, serving customers with forced smiles. The air between us was ice, brittle and cold, cracking under the strain. Revenue held steady thanks to the seniors club, but the joy was gone. I'd catch Haley staring out the window during lulls, her eyes distant, and wonder if I'd lost her too. Nights, I'd drive home alone, replaying every harsh word, questioning if my bitterness was poisoning the one good thing I'd found. But on day 10, the fragile peace shattered spectacularly. It was dusk, the parking lot shadowed and windy, when screams echoed from outside. Patrick was back, raging like a cornered animal, pounding on the glass door. "You heartless bitches, murderers!" he bellowed, his voice hoarse over the oxygen hiss. "I beg for help, and you slam the door? That's my daughter in there, my blood. You're killing me slow, Maggie." My heart pounded wildly, adrenaline surging as I grabbed for the phone. But Haley was faster, yanking the door open and stepping out into the fray. She stood beside me, arms crossed, her stance unyielding. Silent as stone, she stared him down. No pleas, no tears. Patrick faltered, his tirade crumbling under her gaze. "Haley, please." She shook her head, voice steady. "Go, Dad. Just go." He cursed us one last time, venomous words about hell and damnation, before stumbling into a waiting Uber. The taillights faded into the night, leaving us in stunned quiet. That was the last we saw of him alive. The weeks dragged on, a uneasy truce settling between Haley and me. We threw ourselves into work, the drive-through nearing completion, TikToks keeping the buzz alive. But the shadow lingered, a what-if that whispered in the quiet moments. Then, on February 2029, fate delivered its final blow. A firm knock on the pharmacy door mid-morning. Two representatives from Idaho State Social Services, their expressions somber under wool coats. My stomach knotted as we ushered them into the back room. "About Patrick Sullivan," the woman said gently, handing over paperwork. "He passed away 3 days ago in a Reno motel room. Liver failure. No deposit was ever paid for the transplant. He wasn't even actively on the list anymore." The room spun. Dead? Just like that? In some dingy motel, alone? They passed Haley a small plastic evidence bag, his battered wallet with a few faded photos, a worthless casino chip from his gambling days, and a crumpled note in his handwriting. "Tell Maggie I'm sorry," it read. Simple, unfinished, like his life. Haley held it together until they left, her face a mask of composure. But once the door locked and the closed sign flipped, the dam broke. She sank to the floor, whispers turning to wails. "We had the money," she choked out, clutching the bag. "In our savings for the drive-through. We could have saved him, Aunt Maggie." Pain like a knife sliced through me, deep and unrelenting, a climax of regret that left me breathless. I dropped beside her, pulling her into my arms as sobs shook her frame. "We saved ourselves, honey," I murmured, my own tears falling. "That's enough. He chose his path. We chose ours." We grieved in waves that spring, scattering his ashes by the Boise River in a private ritual. No fanfare, just the rush of water carrying away the past. "Goodbye, Dad," Haley said softly. I added my silent farewell, a mix of sorrow and release. But from that darkness bloomed light. Spring 2030 arrived with promise, the Idaho fields greening under warmer skies. We opened the drive-through with a grand ribbon cutting, the mayor wielding oversized scissors, local news capturing the cheers. Customers streamed through, honking in delight, revenue spiking like never before. The Seniors Club hit 250 members, our little pharmacy now a cornerstone of the community. Haley graduated summa cum laude from Boise State that May, her cap and gown a symbol of triumph. At 23, she strode across the stage with confidence, that stubborn cowlick still peeking out. I whooped from the audience, pride swelling like a tidal wave. "That's my niece!" We celebrated with cake and laughter back at the store, surrounded by friends who'd become family. Every morning now, I watch her unlock the gate at dawn, her steps light and sure. At 69, I feel the years, but also the fullness, a life rebuilt from ashes. Patrick took my past, the ranch, Emily, those shattered dreams. But Haley, she gifted me a future I never dared imagine. Family isn't born. It's forged in the fires of choice, healed in the quiet aftermath. My heart swells with a final bittersweet ache. We've come full circle, from a snowy stranger's arrival to this enduring bond. Regrets linger, yes, but so does hope. What if every ending is just a new beginning in disguise? That's the thought that stays with me as I close the chapter on our story. If this journey of loss and redemption has touched you, drop a in the comments to let me know you're here. What would you have done in our shoes? Extended that lifeline or guarded your hard-won peace? Share your reflections below. I've cherished every word. And if these tales of real-life drama have kept you company, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more stories ahead. They're inspired by lives like ours. Give it a like if it stirred your heart, and share with someone who needs a reminder that healing comes in unexpected ways. Thanks for walking this path with me, folks. Until our next story, hold your loved ones close.